So with this video, I'm going to explain difference of quotients, and it's represented as shown here. F x plus h in parentheses, and then we have minus the function all over h. So there's three parts that we need to be concerned about. This one here, 1, 2, and 3. 3 obviously is going to be the easiest one because it's just h. We don't really have to do anything to that. F of x should be given to you in one of your problems or examples in my Math Plus or in the book. This one here is the one we're going to practice, and I'm going to start about practicing this first before we start to dive into solving problems like this. So here, we're going to practice using these following examples by substituting x plus h in parentheses where anytime or anywhere you see an x. So if you see here, we see an x one time, once here, twice here, and 4 times here. So we're going to just remove each of these x's and just put in, like I said before, x plus h in parentheses. So here we're going to start off with the first one. I took away the x and put in x plus h. Same thing here. I got rid of the x and put in x plus h. Everything else remains the same. The 2 still remains and the 3 still also remains. We're not going to substitute, solve and distribute right as of right now. All we're doing is just substituting, so we can get that practice in just for this first part here. Here we're going to do it twice. The square still stays above the x, the negative stays on the outside, and we just replace it. Here we're going to place it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we have 4. All the exponents still remain exactly the same. The 12 still comes down at the end as we see here. And this is just for this first part of this expression, this function. So let's go ahead and get started with an example. We're given this function 2x minus 3. So we're just going to do the first part just like we went through all those examples. So again, the rule is anytime I see an x, I'm going to replace it with x plus h. So I have my 2, but this here gets replaced with the x plus h minus 3. So now I'm ready for my minus this function. That's the function given. So we just rewrite it again for minus. And it will be helpful if we put this in parentheses because later on when we start simplifying, we need to distribute this negative inside, and it's going to change some signs. All over h. So now we're ready to simplify because we got everything set up. Part 1, part 2, and part 3 of the problem. So I distribute the 2 inside, and we get 2x plus 2h minus 3. Take the negative inside and distribute. Gives us minus 2x plus 3 all over h. Here, now we combine like terms. We notice that the 2x and this minus 2x are both the same, so we can cancel those out once we combine them. There's a negative 3 here and a positive 3 here. Those will also cancel. So all that's left over is 2h over h. And we know that anytime we have the same top and bottom of variables or numbers, they both also cancel out. So our answer for this first part is just 2. So this is what the layout looks like explained here. So now we're going to do a little bit harder one, which this time the function is going to be 1 over x. So nothing changes. Remember, part 1 is anytime I see an x, I'm just going to replace it with x plus h. So I have 1 over x, but I'm going to replace it with the x plus h. Minus the function itself, which is just 1 over x, and it's going to be all over h. So now we want to go ahead and simplify. We can't subtract these two because we have different denominators. So we have to get the denominators to be the same. So if they didn't be the same, this denominator is missing the x, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by x. And over here is missing the x plus h, so top and bottom by x plus h. So the result of this will be exactly the same on the bottom, But however, the top is going to have x, because x times 1 is just x, over x, which is on the bottom here. We're going to multiply. Multiply these together. We're going to just get what's left on the top. We're going to put this in parentheses to kind of help us. And it's the same thing on the bottom. Now, what do we notice here? You see that the denominator, they're both the same. So now we can go through and go ahead and subtract by combining just the numerators together. The denominators remain the same. So I have x minus, and remember we're distributing, so this gets distributed inside, minus, and this is a plus, and these guys remain the same here, just write it one time. So notice here when we're ready to combine like terms, I have a positive x and a minus x, so those guys will just cancel, leaving with just minus h on top. Now don't forget now this minus h on the bottom. Here, I just didn't write it for room's sake, but remember all this needs to be over h. So all this needs to be over h. And same thing here, all this needs to be over h. So now we're having this part divided by this part. And this can be the same thing as saying h over 1. So I have a fraction on top and a fraction on the bottom, and then this is divided. So anytime you're dividing by fractions, just a side note, if I have 3 divided by 4 divided by 5 over 7, you do what is called the reciprocal. So we can write it as 3 over 4 divided by 5 over 7, and we do keep, change, flip. So there's 3 over 4 times 7 over 5, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. I'll flip the bottom one on top and make it multiplication. So this here gets flipped, and we're going to make it multiplication. So all I did was take this and just did the reciprocal and flipped it over here, and then change this division part to multiplication. So now do what we notice here. If I want to reduce by diagonally, looking diagonally, reduce it, I have an h here and h here, so both of these will cancel. So negative in that 1 is going to make a negative 1 over what's on the bottom left here. And this can be the answer for the problem. Or it can be written this way. So this way is correct. Or you can also put the negative in front and write like this. So both ways is going to be acceptable as far as your answer.